In this video, we're going to show you how you can better track the source of your form submissions and thus your conversions using UTM parameters along with Kadence blocks. Now, in the new version of Kadence Blocks 3.1, the Advanced Form Block was released, which gives us increasing power over our forms. In our example, we're going to be setting up forms on Sally's cat blog. I think it's easier for us to understand how and why you might want to use these things like UTM parameters when you have an actual example. And I've used Sally's blog before as an example for how to set up custom post types and using Kadence Elements and conditional display. So if you want to jump ahead to see how you can use forms and UTMs in Kadence Elements, you can do that, or you can watch and see how we can do this with simple forms first. Now, if you are not familiar with UTMs, I have an article linked below. This comes from HubSpot, and it gives you a basic understanding of what UTM parameters are and why you would want to use them. So it explains what a UTM parameter actually is and where you would find them and why this is important. Now, UTM parameters are something that you use to track your campaigns elsewhere on the web. So, for example, in this YouTube video, I have some links to the Kadence site down below, and you can take a look at those and see how I'm using UTM parameters to track whether or not people are clicking on these links within this particular video and visiting our blog, for example. So UTM parameters basically tell us where things are coming from, what campaigns out there on the web, whether it's our email campaigns, our social campaigns, or links on other sites, are successful. So this article goes through all of that, and you can get more familiar when this is to be used. UTM parameters are not designed to be used internally on your site. So, for example, on Sally's site, we would not put UTM parameters on any of the links in the navigation or even buttons on a page. There's different ways of tracking those types of clicks, and I will do a video about that in the near future. UTM parameters are there for you to use on anything that's external to your site to see where campaigns externally are successful. There is a website, UTM.io. They have a nifty little tool that is actually a Chrome extension that you can install. I've got it installed here. And this basically helps you build links with UTM parameters. So you see down here are all of the different parameters that you can use: campaign, medium, source, term, and you can enter in whatever you're trying to track. So the campaign, let's say, for example, it is the spring sale. You can put that in. The medium, maybe this is going to be social. And then the source, you might want to say that these are Facebook group. You can put in any kind of terms. If you're doing PPC, you might want to track which terms you are using. And this way you can tell which campaigns are successful. This also has a connection to different shorteners. So we're not going to shorten for this particular one, but you can see down here that the link has been built out based on the URL that I'm on. So now if I go over to Sally's cat blog and I wanted to do that, I would click on that here and it automatically populates the URL that I'm on, and you can go ahead and add those parameters. And you can set up templates. It's a very useful tool. This is not like any kind of affiliate. This is just like, hey, this is cool. This is what I use. So UTM.io, very, very helpful. But let's get started building out a form. Now, Sally's going to have an event, and it is going to be a live in-person event that people can actually come to. And we're going to set up a page, and we're going to put a form on that where people can RSVP for the event that she's going to be having. And we are going to start with a row layout, and we're going to put our form, let's see, our advanced form, we're going to put in here. I already have one that I've started, so I am just going to select that. And this basically has name, email, The meal preference is going to be something that they have to choose here. And then I started setting up a couple of these UTM hidden fields. Now, these are things that are going to be gathered on the front end of the site when someone is completing a form, as long as it is coming through with those UTM parameters on the URL. If there's nothing on the URL, nothing's going to be stored here. So these are really easy to set up here. I'm going to set up another one here. We're going to go to advanced fields and click on hidden field. And this one, our field label is going to be UTM. Let's see, we've got campaign, we've got source, and maybe we're going to say medium. And you don't have to use all of the UTM parameters, just the ones that are going to be interesting to you. Now, something I didn't do that I want to do is to set up populate with parameter. Now, if we do populate with parameter under advanced on the hidden fields, it will pull in whatever we have on the URL. So here we're going to do UTM campaign. So we want to match that and put UTM campaign. For our source, we have the field label here. We need to set up, it is under extra settings. So that is going to be UTM source. And then we're going to have UTM medium. We have that set up as the field label. And then our extra settings, UTM medium. There we go. So that is all set to go. We've got our form all set up. I'm going to go ahead and publish this. I'm going to save it. It's going to save in two different places. First of all, it's going to save on this page, but it's also going to save to forms within Kadence Blocks forms. So now I'm going to copy that URL. I'm going to go to the front end and we're going to populate that page. Now you see we don't have the query string with those UTMs on it. I do want to build that out. So I am just going to use this. So these are the three that we're tracking. So our campaign is going to be our spring event. The medium is going to be social. And then the source, let's say we want to track whether or not posts on Instagram, Twitter, or on Facebook are going to be successful. So let's build our Facebook links first. So we'll do Facebook here. And we see we have our link down here. We can just copy that. And then now when we go and we write our posts on Facebook, we're going to use this as our link. And we're going to populate that there. Now, Facebook is going to append their FB ID on the end of that. Don't worry about that. It won't matter. I'm just going to paste it here. We're going to assume somebody clicked the link and we now have this all across our URL. And now we have our form. Now, if you want to make sure that it's working, you can do view page source and you can do find and just find those hidden fields and make sure that everything is coming through. This is me being a geek. And we see, okay, so here's our data label UTM campaign. And we have our value spring event. So it's pulling spring event from that query string from the UTM parameters across the URL. Here, hidden Facebook, and then social. So we have all of our different fields being stored. Now let's go ahead and submit this form. So I'm just going to submit it as me. And we're just going to be Kathy at Kadence WP. And we are just going to select that I'm an omnivore this time. But there's no hidden fields. They don't have to complete those things. They are already being stored on the form as a hidden field. Now, when I click submit, it says submission success. Thanks for getting in touch. Now, if I go down here to Kadence Blocks, I can see my form entries. And there's my RSVP event form. And I can view the thing. And we see that our UTM parameters are being stored. Now, if I had set this to send this as an email, this information would come. Now, this is really cool when you are trying to track the success of a larger campaign. You want to be able to export all of these various form entries. So this is really helpful. You can take a look at your RSVP event form, and then you can filter this based on all of the different forms here, and you can export as a CSV. And that way you can get it into Excel, you can get it into Google Sheets, wherever it is that you'd like to put it. And then you can do some computations oh, well, look at how well Twitter is performing for us. Look at how well Facebook is performing for us. And then, of course, to change all of that, like this link that we first initially set up, this one that says source Facebook, in order to change that, all you have to do is change this to Twitter or X, if you wanted to call it X, whatever tracking mechanism you want to use, that's up to you. And then you would share this then on Twitter. And then if it was Instagram, you can do Instagram, and you can put that in your, link in bio or your link tree or on your Kadence link tree, whatever you wanted to do, and put that link. Or you might want to put that as the source being link tree. Wherever you're going to paste that link, you just change that on that URL. And the cool thing about what this UTM IO does is you don't have to keep like spreadsheets keeping track of all of this stuff. It tracks it all for you if you do the paid version. Not that I'm trying to sell anything here, but I find it to be very helpful when you're tracking very large campaigns that are bringing in a lot of links from various sources. Now, earlier let's go back to our dashboard. On a previous video linked below, you will see that we set up a custom post type for our favorite cats. And so we set this all up in advanced custom fields. And this is all of the entries that we have of all of the various cats that we have worked with, that we are trying to get adopted from Sally's cat blog. And I would like to add for each individual page, before we had just put a button with the adoption link. Well, I want to track who is filling out forms on this particular page. And maybe I want to, set up a UTM setting here for this particular favorite cat, that I want to do a campaign on social media in order to try to get this kitten or all of the cats adopted. So I can set all of this up and have a form on this page that is dynamic. And we're going to use Kadence Elements to do that. So here we have a quick little Adopt Kaylee form down here. I want to show you how I set this up in Kadence Elements in case you have custom fields and we have custom listings and you have a call to action that includes a form. You can still have hidden fields with dynamic content happening here. So let's take a quick look at that. Let's go back to the dashboard. And here we're going to be setting these up under Kadence Elements. We have an element set up as our favorite cat template. I'm going to go in here and edit this. And we have our clever kitten. And all of this information is being pulled in from those custom fields. So even, the favorite foods, this is all a dynamic list. This name over here, that's dynamic. But I want to do a form and I want to pull in some of that dynamic content. And down here we have our form, and here we see that we have some hidden fields. So I just populated this form very quickly, and we've got our name, email, and a message for anybody that wants to adopt. We're not going to make them jump through tons of hoops at this point. We just want to get them in the door. So our first hidden field is cat name. And now that we want this to be pulled in dynamically. Now this is one single element. This is one single template that's being used across all of the cats. You're seeing Kaylee here because we chose Kaylee as the model for when we're setting up our element. Just as an overview, you can do that over here with preview settings. You can see what it looks like. Here's our preview post over here. You select, which one it's going to be. Our clever kitten, select that as our post. And that is going to be like the model. So that's why you're seeing Kaylee's information here. So on this hidden field for cat_name, and we don't want to put spaces in here because we are using basically HTML and we want to make sure that everything comes through okay. I want to go back to that hidden field. We see we're on that particular element and we see we have our field label as cat_name. And then I went in here and I did post custom field, and then I was able to go find the cat name. So that's a hidden field. That way, when it comes in as a form submission, it's storing which cat they were on. In this way, you don't have to create a separate form for each individual cat. It's all going to dynamically populate based on this dynamic content that's coming in on Kadence Element, on that Kadence template. For our UTM source, it works pretty much the same way as what we did on the standard event RSVP. We have our hidden field source set up as UTM source. And then again, we go over to advanced extra settings and we make sure we have UTM source here. Same thing for UTM campaign. UTM campaign is our field label. And then over here, we have our extra settings. Populate with parameter UTM campaign. I'm going to update the template. There we go. That is updated. And now we are going to go back. I don't have a front end page for all of the favorite cats, so I have to go look at them this way. So let's take a look, first of all, at the Clever Kitten. And we see we have our form down here, so somebody can adopt Kaylee. Let's do a quick view source on this. We're going to go find hidden, and I'm going to go look for my hidden fields. Okay, so we've got our cat name, and we've got Kaylee. And then we have UTM source, and we have value. That's blank. There's nothing there. We see the value here is Kaylee. That's being pulled from the database on this particular page. But our UTM source and our UTM campaign are blank. Why is that? Because up here, we do not have any of those parameters set. Now, here, I already have one set up. There's our Twitter, and then we have our spring 2023 campaign for this particular site. So now we can view source on that. Again, we still have our form, view source, and then I'm going to go hidden, and this is looking at the source of the HTML behind everything. And here now we have it. Here's our cat name, and we've got Kaylee. And here we have UTM source, Twitter, UTM campaign, spring 2023. That's all going to work. That's all going to be stored to the database. Let's go ahead and complete this form. And I'm going to put my name in. Oh, like my last name is nice and short. Our message is just going to be Kaylee is adorbs. And all of that should get stored. Let's submit that. All right, now we have that stored. Let's go back to our dashboard, and I want to look at a different cat. So we're going to go to our favorite cats, all of our favorite cats. Now remember, if we look at all of these are just basically our advanced custom fields. It's just data that's stored here. There's no design. In this way, we are separating design from appearance. The appearance is over here under elements. Now, if we want to take a look at this, we can take a look at the boss man. There he is, looking all handsome. And we have Ray, adopt Ray down here. If we view source on this, and we do find for our hidden fields, and we go look for our cats, there is our cat name, and we see Ray. And again, we don't see anything for UTM source, UTM campaign. We are not doing a campaign on these, but if I did question mark and then UTM campaign, and that is equal to spring, see, and I'm spelling it all wrong. It's very important to spell everything right when you are doing things like this. And then you put ampersand, and so it was UTM campaign and UTM source. And again, if you want this to work well, let's say this is going to be Facebook. And I'm going to hit enter on that, so that is, you can't just type it. It has to actually make that call to the site and load the page. So you can even hit reload, making sure that this is being passed in. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to assume that everything's there. I'm going to go ahead and complete this. And Ray looks regal. And I'm going to submit that. So now we've got two different cats. It's one particular page, but it's dynamic here. Now let's go to the dashboard, and we're going to go down to Kadence blocks where our form entries are. And we can see that two different favorite cat forms have been stored. One of them using my Gmail account, one using my Zant account, and I can view these. So we see Kaylee, and all of that information is stored. These UTM parameters are all stored. If I go back and I look at the one, this should be Ray's submission. We see Ray looks regal. All of the information that I entered on that form. There is one form, but based on what is being set up in Kadence Elements, that tells us what is being submitted to our database. So there you have it. This is the advanced form block. This is how to send UTM parameters to a database. And then, of course, I maybe should show you this. If you wanted to take this and export maybe just all the favorite cat forms, you can separate out based on each form. So like if I wanted all the favorite cat forms, I can filter that and just see those. And then I can export those to a CSV into a spreadsheet, and you can do all sorts of data manipulations in your spreadsheets. So thanks for watching this, and I can't wait to see what you are going to build with Kadence blocks and the advanced form block.